managed to get back into the studio to try and complete this painting, or get as close as possible to completing it. It's been quite a few days since I managed to get in here. It's like that sometimes, isn't it? Basically, best laid plans and all that. But I'm glad to be back in the studio, and hopefully over the next few weeks things are going to learn a little bit more regular, let's say, and I'll be able to be back in here a lot more painting for you, so you can see what's going on, and you can watch me paint. That's what we're doing, isn't it, really? And you won't be having to wait days and days in between all these different videos. Got myself a cuppa. That's what you need, isn't it? I've even got some biscuits, but don't tell the wife. Okay. Anyway, let's have a look at the painting. The picture that you're looking at behind me is the painting that I'm working on. Well, it's not the painting, that's the photograph that I'm working from. And this is where we're at so far, he says, looking for the right one. There it is. It's a reasonably petite 7x5 canvas, which seems very small, doesn't it, for an oil painting? It doesn't actually seem that small for a watercolour. A lot of the watercolours that I do are 7x5. It's a very popular size, really, because it's completable usually in a day, and so it's not so expensive, let's put it that way. When it comes down to a canvas, these seem rather bijou, I must say. Having said that, I am rather pleased with the way this one's coming along, and hopefully today we'll be able to bring it to some kind of conclusion. If not, I'll try and grab a bit of time later on. Back to the old cuppa there. The chat room is open as usual, so if anybody wants to chat, if anybody wants to ask questions or whatever, you know, feel free to do that. Let's bring the microphone a bit closer, that's it. And let's crack on. Down here, you can't see it because the camera doesn't adjust sideways, but you can see here what we've got down here is we've got my palette right by the side of the board here, which is basically a piece of baking parchment, a piece of greaseproof paper, taped to the tabletop here of my work surface. It's great because I've just come back into the studio after a few days away, and I just left it there. Now the paint isn't usable anymore, and it was covered in sort of patches and of working paint and all that sort of thing. And instead of having to clean it all off, I just undid the tape, scrunched it all up, chucked it in the bin, chucked another one down, and away we go. You can't see what I'm doing except for these first two. The first one here is lamp black. The second one here is Prussian blue. The third one that you can't see but is there is burnt umber. And I've got burnt sienna. I've got yellow ochre. I've got alizarin crimson, and I've got titanium white. And that's what we're working with. Let's go into the overhead shots where that's the one. Now you can see me, you can see the palette, and you can see the chat room. Bit of everything there for you. And let's pull that. I think we might need a little bit of extra light. Excuse me while I... Yes, that's better. It makes a difference. Trouble is, one of the differences it makes for me is it puts a little bit of a reflection on the paint, so I keep having to tilt the canvas to work on it, but you can't have everything, can you? Anyway, where's the essential items, i.e. the brushes, just working with these few little sort of nylon brushes. They're nothing special. They're cheapo brushes actually from a shop we have in the UK here called The Works. I bought 4 of these the other day. I think they cost me £2. I mean, they're fine. They're great. Can't really go wrong at that. I have my pot of turps, well, turp substitute, just to clean the brushes. I have my little pot of liquid, and I think that's all we need, isn't it? Let's crack on. So where we're at here is I did quite a bit of work in the last session on the chaps here, so I'm going to finish off these 2 figures. I'm going to carry on working around here, finish off these 2 figures and the chair in front, then work on the waiter and the ground, bring it all together. Might go back a little bit over this lady here. She's not quite how I want her, but she's not far off. But a lot of what I'm trying to do when I'm doing this is I'm trying to capture the character of the people, rather than, I mean, at this size in oils with these on a little canvas like this, you're going to take a long time if you're going to go into huge amounts of detail, and in the end what you end up, in my opinion, is you quite often end up with an overworked painting, and that's not what I want. What I want is a painting that shows you my enjoyment of the paint. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? My enjoyment of the actual medium that I'm working with. Because if you don't enjoy your medium, it shows. Or if you're uncomfortable with your medium, it shows. It really does. I mean, I don't know. It all depends how you're doing it as well. Went a couple of weeks ago now, just over a week ago I suppose, went to one of my favourite art galleries here in the UK, in a place called Port Sunlight, which is on Merseyside, not far from Liverpool. And they've got some wonderful, wonderful paintings in there. One of my favourite little galleries. I love the place. But a lot of the paintings are Victorian, and they are, I mean, I love them, I really do, but some of them are very, very detailed, and I mean, pre-Raphaelite time, isn't it? They've got quite a few Holman Hunts in there, and a few Jean Everett Millet, and you are talking about a period where they went into huge amounts of detail. And very, very painstaking work it must have taken. I mean, some of those paintings, they've got the scapegoat, Holman Hunt's famous picture of the goat that in Jewish tradition is set free into the deserts to take the sins of the community with it and everything. And they've got works by quite a few works by Millet and Rossetti and everything. And as much as I love them, that detail can become wearing, I think. But over on one wall they've got, right at the end of this long gallery, you can see a beautiful painting by John Singer Sargent of a boy fishing, and it's luscious. It's a big painting, it's quite large, but when you get close to it you realise you can see all the brush strokes, you can see the joy of the paint, and it really, really, I just found it so, it's beautiful. I love that painting. And then amongst all those other beautiful but very, very, very hard worked paintings, it stands out. But what I'm trying, where did I start with that? I know. I was saying that what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get the character of the people. For me, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to express in the painting and the brushstrokes. I'm trying to get a feel for the character of the people, what they're involved in, what they're up to. I think one of the things that attracted me to this image in particular is the way that these people are all in their own worlds. They're sitting together, they're sharing a space in time, a place in a moment, but nobody's talking to one another, nobody's engaging with one another. This is the 21st century in microcosm, isn't it? You can see that they're on the table on the left of the picture as we look at it. They're both engrossed in what they're reading. I'm not sure whether it's the menu, I'm not sure whether it's maybe it's a pamphlet for where they're going next, or where they've just been, or whatever, but they really are they're very much in their own worlds, and that seems to me to be so much of what the world's like at the moment. Everybody's sort of, nobody can just, when something else happens, the first thing that people do, and I'm as guilty of it as anyone, I have to say, the slightest pause, and what we do is we reach for our mobile phones. It's as if we can't just be. We have to be checking to see what's happening in the world, or checking to see what's happening with our friends, or whatever it is that's important to us at the time. But we have these people here, we have these 5 people all together, but no one is communicating with anyone else. I'm going to switch brushes. This one's irritating me a little bit. There's just one or two little bits at the very end that are fine for some things, but not for what I'm doing at the minute. Let's change to this one. Let's get some colour for her hair. Let's try to get the darker tones at first. Let's get getting the darker tones in place before I put the light ones over the top. Unlike the pictures that I've been doing before this one, which have been part of the I Paint Your Life project that I've been doing, based on pictures that people, friends and followers on Facebook and on all the social media platforms have been sending to me. This one is one that I've chosen to do. This is the stuff that I like to paint. I don't know whether it shows, I don't know. But this one will be, when it's finished, offered for sale. I'm sort of in the business. I've got a website you can go and have a look at. And I've got quite a few works on there that there's a price on them, but I've not had a big sort of sales sort of splurge on the site. I sort of left it a little bit, to be perfectly honest. There we go. I think that's fine for her hair. I quite like that. There we go. But I am thinking of setting up a Facebook shop. I believe you can do that nowadays. I've watched a video about it, and then you go and, I've got a page, a Facebook page. I've had it for a long time. A business page, what they call a business page. And but watch the video, and it says, go here, press this, do that. You see this, and it says shop, and you press that, and so I sort of follow that. My business page looks nothing like the one that the guy's doing on Facebook. And so it's a little bit of a mystery in the making still to me. but I'm sure I'll get it sussed. I just want to make it easy for anybody that sees something that they like, just to be able to click on it and go, yeah, I love that. Let's see how I get on. What I do at the moment is, I think it's what a lot of people do. I suppose in a way, I suppose it's more personal. What I do at the moment is that if anybody wants to buy something, they just message me and I give them the details and they send me their details, we swap details, and they pay me by PayPal, and I post the painting out. Sorry for the long pause there. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I can see things that are bothering me. This one's bothering me as well, this brush now. I think they might be coming towards the end of their life, some of these. The small brushes don't last like the big ones do. I've got a pot of big brushes over there for bigger paintings that I've had now for, some of them I've had for 30 years, you know. Look after them, clean them well and everything, and they last a long time. But the small ones, of course, they've not got that many bristles in there in comparison, so they tend to have a shorter shelf life. Shorter active life, I suppose, should I say. Let's get the old fella's outfit. A bit more shape to it. As I said before, if anybody wants to chat to me as you're watching, please feel free to type something in any of your comments or your chat. It all ends up on the screen, no matter what platform you're watching on. This is going live on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on YouTube. So whatever you're on, drop in and say hello. It's nice to know who's watching, who's out there. Obviously, if you're watching this and it's a recording, I'm not going to answer you, so that's a bit bloody obvious, isn't it, really? Hi there, Check Can Do. I think that's a Twitter symbol, isn't it? From Virginia. My goodness. What's the time of day? It's 12:30 here, so it's pretty early in the morning over there in Virginia, I believe. Thanks very much for the compliment. It is coming. I'm quite pleased with the way it's coming along. What time is it in Virginia? I'm always fascinated when I'm working at this time of the day and people come on in the US. My goodness, 7 a.m. You're keen. I did a painting a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether you saw it. You might have done. For my friend Karen, who is in Texas, and I was doing morning sessions, and I'd come online, and she was there, watching me paint the painting from the photograph that she'd sent me. And I said, "What time is it?" She said, "Well, I got up at 4 a.m. That's dedication for you, isn't it? So what's it like over there in Virginia at the moment? So Chick Can Do is a strange thing to call you. Do you have a name that I can use? I should imagine the weather over there is a bit better than it is here today. It's quite grey here. Today we're heading soon into autumn, or fall as you call it over there, and you can certainly tell it's not been the best summer actually. It's been quite a drab, uneventful sort of summer weather-wise, but can't you tell I'm British? Talking about the weather. Summer is oh my goodness, hello summer. Well, summer, I'm talking about summer. That's interesting, isn't it? Alright, that's a strange coincidence. So have you found me somewhere? Have you just come across me by accident there on Twitter? Sort of suddenly thought, ooh, who's that? What's going on? Oh right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I suppose you are. You're in the sort of edge of the hurricane zone there in Virginia, aren't you? Not been to Virginia. I've been to Texas. My brother lives in Texas. Been to Houston. I've been to Louisiana. I've been to New Orleans. That's sort of it for down the southern states. I've been to New York as well, so I've been over to the US a couple of times. All right. Do you know, Twitter has become a bit of a strange thing for me. When I started doing this online stuff, I started 7 years ago, and I did everything that I did, really, I did on Twitter. And I'd only got a handful of followers. But I did an entire project, painted 50 paintings from the lives of people, from photographs that people sent to me. And I did an entire project, and it was almost all from Twitter. And then I got a little bit of a spurt, and I went from, I went from about 300 or 400 followers to getting on for 6,000 followers. And all of a sudden I got no work from Twitter at all, and nobody was paying attention to anything I was putting on. It was very strange. But, so it's nice to see that you found me from Twitter. It is a very strange bird, definitely. This is a tiny little canvas, actually. This is it's a 7 inch by 5 inch canvas that I just wanted to do something that was I've been doing some watercolours. You might have, I don't know whether you've seen any of them this last few weeks. And I've been doing some watercolours with this setup that I've got here now. And I thought to myself, it'd be nice to do an oil. And I got this little canvas which fits quite well under the camera. And I thought I'll give it a go. And it's sort of, the bigger paintings that I do like this, they take forever. And I'll be sitting here for, I could be sitting here for weeks painting them. And so I thought I'd do something that I could do in a few sessions. I'm sort of just feeling my way, really, with this live streaming thing. I've got a totally Keith Robinson setup over here, made up of all mobile phones and lights that I found hanging around the place and bits of wood, but it's been working. You know, you see these people who've got these like professional setups and SLR cameras pointing at them, and they've really invested. Well, this is sort of the opposite of that. But I'm getting there. I have got one that I've been working on for, oh my goodness, I think I started working on it 7 years ago or something, and I pick it up occasionally and work on it. And I might work on that on the board after I've done this and try and finish it off. That's a lot bigger. It is a bit sort of working this small does have its difficulties, I have to say, but it's coming. You're welcome. Do you paint yourself? Are you an artist? Lots of the people that follow me seem to be artists. I think we like to watch each other. We're nosy, we like to see what's going on. Don't want to miss anything. I mean, I'm as bad. I watch other people paint. It's one of those things. Let's try to get a ring. That's enough. Found an intimation. And again here, a little bit of a All you need occasionally is a little dot, and things come to life. Oh right, alcohol inks. Never tried them. I do a lot of watercolour, and you probably see, if you have been following me on Twitter, you've probably seen a lot of watercolours. I like both. I like to paint and with. You sound like you're quite a detailed sort of person then. Calligraphy and pyrography. You can't really, you know, you've got to have a steady hand and a lot of patience to do calligraphy and pyrography, haven't you, really? It's a funny old thing, the detail thing. I've said it before in other ones, but I love this. I've got a lovely little quote. I don't know whether you've watched. There's a series online I've seen it on YouTube over the time. I think it's an Australian series called "Put Some Colour in Your Life," and it's quite good. I say it's quite good. I'll tell you something else about it in a bit, actually. But one of the guys that was on there was really detailed paintings, detailed oil paintings, beautifully done. I mean, really nice stuff. And he said, people ask me, he said, how I get all the detail. How do you get all that detail in what you're doing? And he said, well, what I do is I start painting and I keep going and I don't stop. And the longer I do it, the more detailed it gets. I thought, okay, there you go. There's your answer. And I love that. I thought, yeah, you just keep going, don't stop. These paint, I don't know, detail's a strange thing, isn't it? They look, sometimes they look more detailed than they are, and I think that's half the art of it. We are, after all, working with pigment to try and fool people into thinking they're seeing some kind of reality. All right, okay. Yeah, I've never tried pyrography. I probably enjoy it, actually. I do like to. You can tell. You probably tell from the way I'm painting here is I don't tend to rush these things. I do have another style that I use when I'm knife painting, which is a lot bolder and a lot broader, and I really enjoy painting like that. But these ones, they at this size you can't be bold, can you? In that sense, you've got to take your time. Yeah, I tried etching once when I was many years ago when I was at college. I got the opportunity to try etching, and I did enjoy that. That was very process intense and took a lot of Took a lot of time and messing about, but very enjoyable. When I was at the gallery the other day, when I was at the Lady Lever, they had an exhibition of works by Augustus John, and they've got quite a few etchings there that he'd done. And I thought, I probably would quite enjoy that, but to do it yourself, you need acid and all that sort of thing. Maybe I can't be that bothered to mess about with things like that. You can spread your wings too wide sometimes, I think. Try and do too many things. I think I've got to the age where I sort of feel that I can do this. This is what I do. And the more I do it, the better I feel I get. And I've been doing it now for a very long time. So it's nice to sort of feel that you're mastering something, I suppose. Though I don't know whether I'll ever master it. The paint always has something in store for you. Some new challenge, some new surprises. That's what makes it fun. I suppose. Yeah, the style's a strange one. It's sort of I think I started to take paint seriously in my very early 30s, so we're talking half a lifetime ago. I'd painted a lot when I was young, and I did A-level art and textile design, and I did half a university course in drama and art, so a sort of quarter of it was art. I did a quarter of a course, I suppose, in art, but I really started to take it seriously in the late 1980s, early 90s. And I tried all sorts of different styles before I worked out who I was, really. And this style, I suppose if you can call it a style, just basically evolved, which is nice. It was sort of an evolution. I mean, definitely had some moments along the way where it changed and evolved, grew, and something would happen and would bring a bit of a change in what I was doing, which was nice. But I like the fact that now it's got to the stage where basically I can do what I'm doing now. I'm talking to you and I'm holding a conversation and I'm thinking and I'm nattering away. And I'm sort of painting on, is it autopilot? I don't really know, maybe a little bit. I spent quite a time in the late 80s, early 90s, supplementing my meagre living as an artist by doing portraits on the street, drawing people on the street. And I think that was where I really sort of learned how to talk to people and paint at the same time, and the painting would begin to take its own shape. Well, the drawing in that case would begin to take its own sort of. It happened because my eyes and my brain were controlling my hand without me having to. A bit like driving. Yeah, that's the best description actually. It's driving. You don't think about changing gear and depressing the clutch when after a while you just drive. And I think this is a bit similar. And quite often some of the best painting happens when I'm doing less thinking, I suppose. If that makes any sense. Yeah, sort of. Sort of. It is one of the, I think, if you really sort of enjoy painting, it is one of the most relaxing and therapeutic things that you can do. Now, I certainly I can paint. I can be stressed as anything about something, and as soon as I get in here and I stop putting paint on, that's it. I don't have to think about anything else. It's just me and the paint and the lovely people of the internet who come on and natter to me, which is really nice. No, of course you don't. Of course you don't. But I bet there have been many times, like we all have, when you suddenly realise to yourself, I've been driving for the last half an hour or whatever, and I've been totally immersed in something else, and I've been just on autopilot. I think we all do it after a while. That's nice. That's coming. Sort of. Yeah. One of the nice things I've discovered doing this is that, let's put a tilt on it. It's that. Yeah, I like that. Is that you can get a view of your painting. Yeah, if you look at can you see the little picture of me in the corner there? Hello, you know. What's behind me is the photograph that I'm working from. In fact, I can actually, I think, make myself disappear, and you can see it. Just a minute. There's me. Hello. But I can go over here and I can make myself. Oh, I've gone. And there's the photograph that I'm working from. It's from, well, it's Paris. This is a photograph from my honeymoon, which was in August 2014. It's from 7 years ago. And Jane and I went to Paris and had a wonderful 5 days in Paris, one of my favourite places. and we took loads and loads of photographs. And every so often, when I get a little bit stuck for a subject, I will take one of these photographs and I will turn it into a painting. And this is, I mean, I did talk about this in the earlier video, but you probably won't have seen it. Let me show you. That's the actual photograph that I'm working from, but of course there's too much there for a painting of this size, and it's got no focus. But the thing that I liked most was this guy, this waiter standing here. He's almost asleep, but he's just standing there, literally waiting. And so I decided that what I would do is I would crop it and make him more of the focus. So I cropped it down to that, which is much more interesting as far as I'm concerned. But there were problems with that. As you can see here, we've got a parasol going right up the middle of the painting, which was an absolute pain. And the window behind has got reflections of the parasol, obviously, and reflections of the street that are. Once I get rid of the parasol, it looks a bit strange. So anyway, I got rid of the parasol. There's the parasol gone. I got it in Photoshop and I got rid of the parasol, and then I took a window from another part of the building that was actually on a slant, but I manipulated it and everything and replaced the window in the background. Filtered it to take away some of the detail because I find it much more enjoyable to paint if I don't have so much detail assailing my eye. And then I realised that there was this focus of tell you what appealed to me first of all. I don't know whether you know it, but there's a very famous painting by Edward Hopper, of an usherette in the cinema. You can see on the left hand side, you can see the cinema screen and you see the people watching the film, and on the right hand side, just around the corner from them by the door, there's an usherette standing there looking bored silly, just passing the time, waiting while everybody's watching the film. And she's the focus of the painting, and the way he's standing there just reminded me of that particular painting with the usherette standing there. And that was what appealed to me first, but as I've got into it more and more, it's this fact that everybody's ignoring everybody else that I'm finding fascinating. Yeah, I'm going to do him now. He's my next thing. I like to sort of mess about with the image before I work on it and get it. You know, this is my way of sketching. I suppose it's 21st century way of sketching. I can manipulate things. I can take people out and put people in and get people to the size and proportion that I want them, and then work from that. Really. Let's have a go at the jolly old waiter. Where am I? Now I must be careful because there's a danger here that I will hold on, let's put myself back into the picture. Where am I? That's that. That's there I And let's go back to the overhead. Got all this tech that I have to sort out. Not that one. That's the one. Yeah, let's have a go at the waiter. I've been looking forward to doing him. When I'm working this small with the watercolours, not with it, well, with the oils, sorry, not the watercolours. When I'm working this small with the oils, it's very, very, it takes me back to an era that I was born into, that was changing at the time. I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, in the heart of England, really, right in the middle of the UK. And Stoke-on-Trent was for 250 years or so or more the centre of pottery making in the world. We made all the pottery, the best pottery in the world for for many, many years. It's all changed now with globalisation, though they still make beautiful pottery, but so much of it's made abroad now. Cheap labour. But one of the jobs on the pottery factory was the job of the freehand painter. And that's one reason why the area, why Stoke-on-Trent, the area, invested heavily for many, many, many years in art training, because it needed to train up the freehand painters to be able to paint the figures and the plates and all that sort of thing. And if you watch the freehand painters at work in the factory, they're just sitting there for hours on end with these, like, sometimes with these big plates in front of them, this sort of size, and they're working in great detail, painting in these scenes by hand. Not transfers, not anything, all painted freehand. And they were, I mean, they were the prize of the industry. They were paid more than anybody else, and they were the best job that you could have in the industry. They were really valued because they were worth their weight in gold. But watching them work, you would see, oh, it was amazing. You know, so tiny details, and they'd be working from a plan, so that everything that they did would be, you know, they would produce the same plate over and over and over again, but each time it was painted by hand. I mean, very skillful. I'm not going to do this over and over again. This will be unique. It will be a one-off original. That's what I do. But So is it rural in Virginia where you're living? Are you out in the countryside, or are you in the city? Or my entire view of Virginia is totally coloured by cowboy films from my youth. In my mind, everybody wears Stetsons and rides horses, I suppose, which is probably a totally Hollywood misrepresentation of what Virginia is actually like. Alright. Rural chickens and dogs. Yeah, I've kept chickens in the past, many years ago. I had a small holding in the Peak District. Chickens and dogs was life for a while. Alright. We live out in the countryside here. I like living in the countryside. We're not that far from town. We're only a couple of miles outside a small town called Nantwich in Cheshire. You know, I look out the window here and I can see our garden, and all that's beyond that is trees and fields, and next door is a farm, and they have cows out there sometimes, and they've actually got the other side of the trees. They've actually got a small airfield actually, which we end up with small light aircraft taking off from and everything, which is quite interesting. Yes, thank you very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Summer. Please pop on again. I'll be very happy to. It's really nice when people come on and converse. Have a lovely day. Have a nice day, as you all say over there. And yeah, pop back on whenever you feel like. Good morning, or oh no, sorry, good afternoon, Raj. How are you today? It just disappeared. There's that one. What's this? For some reason my picture disappeared off my tablet. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine, thank you. But it's been a day or two before I could get in the studio, but I'm back now, so I'm happy about that. Have to keep an eye on the time. Oh, I'm fine at the moment. That's quite nice. Quite like that. What are you coding? Something interesting? I said Monty Python. Funny, isn't it? Monty Python's world though is a. It's I don't know whether how it translated into Indian, uh, but it's everywhere. It's a big part of my youth, of course. Monty Python. Absolutely loved them. Yeah, it's sort of I don't know. Is coding is it a hobby or is it something that you want to do for a living or what? My son is off to university at the end of this month to study computer science. I'm very familiar with computers, but coding has never been my thing. Giant Villain. Hello, Giant Villain. We have a new voice in the chat room. Good. Well, I say good afternoon to you, but it all depends where in the world you are, I suppose. I've just been talking to a lady named Summer on Twitter who was in Virginia, and when we started talking it was 7 o'clock in the morning there. It's 12:30 here. Where are you in the world, Giant Villain? Australia! My goodness, you... Okay. Hello, Giant Villain in Australia. You are now officially the furthest person on the globe that I have chatted to while I've been doing these paintings. It's I am still overwhelmed by the sort of magic of the internet, and the whole thing of being able to just converse with people all over the world all the time while I'm sitting here in my little studio painting. So what's your name, Giant Villain? I hate calling people by their handles. This is Raj, by the way. Dosa guy here. This is Raj. Raj is in India, in Bangalore. I'm in Cheshire, in the UK. And she's just gone now, but the lady that was chatting before, she was in Virginia, in the US. I just think it's incredible. Okay, James, no problem. Nice. It's nice to be on first name terms with people, so that all these handles and everything are fantastic, but it's nice to be friendly. Sorry, I missed what you put up there, Raj. What did you... Alright. Machine learning. Oh, AI. That's the future, of course, isn't it? I've been writing a novel for a few years now, to be perfectly honest. Keep having a spell on it, and then getting distracted by doing things like this. But the AI is a big part of the novel that I'm writing. It's a future. It's set somewhere in some. It's set in a country that I don't name. It's not a huge country. It's not a, but it's a developed country, and it's suffered at the hands of greed, really, and its population have been no, they privatised everything. They privatised the health and run it down, so that they've dispossessed an awful lot of people. They've dispossessed the middle classes, and the middle classes have ended up living in shanty towns and all that sort of thing. And it's playing with the idea of what would happen if someone came along and had the ability to change everything and instead of a revolution where everyone is made poor, which is what most revolutions do, we end up in a situation where this chap comes along and he's made his money by developing the ultimate in AI assistants, the Siri or Google Assistant type thing, called Solomon. And Solomon, the system, has basically worked on the basis that it just has said to people, talk to me, tell me what you're trying to do, and I will assist you. I will work out what might be the options for you, and it's taking sort of the whole personal assistant thing a few steps further and saying that if you talk to it and tell it what you want to do, rather than just asking it to tell you jokes or book you airplane tickets or whatever, which it will do, but ask it to solve the problems in your life. What it's done over time then is amassed a huge amount of data. Well, it's the wisdom of Solomon, that's the idea of it. Because everybody has been telling Solomon about themselves and about they're encouraged to tell Solomon what they're trying to achieve. Solomon suggests things. They try the things that Solomon suggests, and then they come back and they tell Solomon whether it succeeded or not, and did it work, and what was the outcome. And Solomon is able to chat with them and talk to them and help them out. And through the fact that Solomon is then installed on billions and billions of phones and devices all over the world, in every language you can imagine, and in every type of situation, every type of society that you can imagine, Solomon just amasses more and more and more data and is able to learn more and more about people and about what people are like and what they are trying to achieve in life and everything about everybody. And that data is then analysable, and so yeah, it's a bit Westworld. It is a bit Westworld, I have to say that. But he sort of, I've not seen season 3 of Westworld, by the way. I only watched season 1. Didn't like season 2 too much, but basically it's worked so well for so many people that it's made its creator, James, who's named James Solomon, it's made its creator very, 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 very rich. And he comes along, and it's made him, basically, it's turned him into the richest person on the planet. As he sees it, he's just he's created something that's then had a life of its own, and he's become the richest person on the planet more or less by accident. As he describes it at one time, everything is just a number, just a great big number, and that number just keeps going up and going up so fast that you can't even count it. But what he's been doing in the background all these years, when the number's been growing and Solomon, the AI has been sort of just basically doing what it does on its own, he's been using this money and investing this money in all sorts of things. Absolutely. I mean, this is your sort of, I suppose it's your Elon Musk type person or whatever. And he's been developing all sorts of things. He's been developing electric cars that actually bloody work and actually can have a system involved with them that makes them usable. And basically he's been working on all sorts of things. And what he suddenly does is he comes along to the Prime Minister or whatever of this country, this failing country, this guy who's been elected to power to try and sort everything out, and is finding that because of the systems that are in place he can't. He comes along and he says, I want to buy the country. Which is an extraordinary thing to say. But the country is in such a mess and in such debt and in such chaos that he ends up being taken seriously. And it's basically, and what he does is he says to people, I'm in a position to make every one of you wealthy. Absolutely every person in the country, I am going to make you wealthy. And what we're doing is we are abolishing the currency that we've got. We are going totally paperless. We are going totally cashless. Here's a card. With that card, you can buy anything you want. You are now ultimately wealthy. And so it's a study really in how people would react, whoever they are in society, whether they're already rich or whether they've been suffering or what. It's a study into how would people react and what would it be like if we could take away poverty just with one blow and make everyone equal, but make everyone equally rich. Because no revolution's ever done that. Every revolution makes people poor. And then people get rich and people start to dominate again and it all goes wrong. So that's basically the beginning of it. In Time, no, I've seen it. Is it, which one's In Time? Is In Time the one where they have the countdown tattooed on their arm and then they have to start running through doors and things? Is that In Time? Because there's In Time, there's About Time, there's all these ones. Yes, I love that film. I love that film, and I think it's brilliant. When they start having to run through the doors and they're chased by the auditors or whatever they call them and all that sort of thing. It's brilliant. And I found it a fascinating concept because if I remember rightly, In Time, society really splits itself into 25 years. Oh, interesting. Yeah, In Time the society splits itself into those that have time and those that don't. So that it ends up with the wealthy having time and the poor not, of course. But this is my story is much more what could happen if we basically took away the power of the elite by giving everybody power. Because money is power is money and all the rest of it. And how would those that are the elite at the moment and have been the elite for a long time, how would they react? And nobody's taking anything away from them. They are still just as rich as they were. They're still, they're still rich. They can still have their ocean-going yachts. They can still have their mansions. They can still have everything. But so can everyone else. And I think that's quite an interesting sort of concept for me. It's about a third written, I suppose. It's taken me ages because I keep sort of getting doubts. Oh, is it doing it? Is this right? Is that right? Is the other right? I suppose I just ought to knuckle down and get it finished and work on it. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I think what they will have to decide, and what it will force them to decide, because he is in a position to have been able to prepare, and he's been preparing for years and years and years, and people will have to decide really what is important to them and what isn't, because of course not everybody, even if they are all mega wealthy, not everybody can have an ocean-going yacht, because there aren't enough ocean-going yachts in the world to give everybody one. And in the end, is having an ocean-going yacht going to make you mega happy? I don't know, maybe yeah, maybe no, whatever. But one of the concepts that really interests me is the fact that if everybody is wealthy, then why bother making all the crap that we make and all the rubbish that we make? Why bother making the rubbish stuff? Why not just make the best stuff? The reason we make the rubbish stuff at the moment is because we need to sell rubbish. We need to make rubbish so that people who don't have much can buy that rubbish, can afford to buy that rubbish en masse, and make rich people very rich again. Well, exactly. But how much do they need? How much do they need to work? We are getting to a stage where we can automate so many processes, but a lot of the reason why we don't automate those processes is because we have created an economy and a world that depends on, where people living depends on work. And the only reason that most people work is for the pittance that keeps them alive, that they're given by people who are getting mega rich by these people's work. We've created a totally cockeyed, distorted system on the planet. And it's just a thought that if we could change things, how would we change things, and what difference would it make, and how would our values change? I mean, if we want really nice cars, 99% of cars are made by robots and have been for years. We only need a few people making everything work in that sense. And some people will always want to do things. People don't like I think most people don't like to be totally unproductive. People like to be, like you say, some people will become productive. Other people will become lazy. But what does it matter? In the end, we're all born, we all live, and we all die. What matters is the quality of life that everyone has in the meantime. And that's, to me, is what this is all about. Can we improve people's quality of life? Could we improve people's quality of life, or would it just turn into another nightmare? Who knows? It's not finished yet. I think this is one of the things that gets me, actually. It's like the whole thing with money. There's a phrase that became very that is very popular over here, and when she was running for Prime Minister, Theresa May, who used to be Prime Minister here, when she was running for election a few years ago, she made this thing that she said, there is no magic money tree, money doesn't grow on trees, and all this sort of thing. And the actual answer to that question should be, you're right, it doesn't. We invented it. Money doesn't exist at all. We just made it up. But when we invented money, what we invented for an awful lot of people was poverty. And when everybody's value is literally just on how much money they have, that's a strange way to value humanity. Oh, it's coming along here. I find it interesting because most novels, most stories that look into any kind of future end up being totally dystopian and totally horrible, as if the future is just guaranteed to be horrible. And so my idea is, what would happen if it wasn't? What would happen if we didn't make it horrible? What would happen if we could do it better than we're doing it now? And how much would that be? Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because it can go many, many different directions. Just as life does, really. I sort of want to make a novel, make a story where people end up actually being better than they were when they started, rather than the horrors of 1984 and Mad Max and every other sort of dystopian future that comes along, that always ends up with people shooting and people fighting and people. I just want something better. I want a view of something that's nicer than that. Let's get that floor sorted out, and then we're almost done. We're getting there. Really didn't. Don't do. Do you think? Do you think that I didn't? I I expected them to win. They always have. They always have. Afghanistan has been attacked so many times and has never really properly fallen. When you think the Russians, years and years and years ago, when I was younger, the Russians were in Afghanistan for 20 years or something like that, trying to defeat the Mujahideen, who were supported by the West. And in the end, the Russians just had to withdraw, and Afghanistan went back to being the society that Afghanistan is. Do you know, I am so surprised, really, with everything that's everything that's been made over the past few years, especially since we discovered that we can CGI absolutely bleeding anything. I'm surprised there haven't been more end of time sort of films. I think you've got a niche there. You've got to get yourself in there. The only thing I can think of is the Doctor Who episode at the end of time, where the rich people gather on the space station to watch the end of the universe. Well, I think I'm almost done. I'm getting there anyway. I don't know that one. The Sacrifice. What's that one then? Oh, that's a lot of reading. Hold on. Plus maybe about to concentrate plot. Alexander Ireland celebrating his birthday with family and friends when they receive some stunning news from the radio. World War III has erupted and the end of the world is near. In order to avert the apocalypse, Alexander makes a bargain with God. He'll give up everything he values in life, including his beautiful home and beloved son. It's a little bit Abraham and Isaac, isn't it, really? By the sounds of it. Thank you, I'm glad the painting looks good. I think I'm almost done with this one. Not sure whether to just put something up the top here. Have a little look at it. I will varnish it when it's dry. I will varnish it, and but I need to photograph it first, because once it's varnished it becomes absolute nightmare to photograph. Actually, there's one thing I want to change that has been irritating me for days when I've looked at it. Let's sort this out. That has been bugging me for days. Going, not being vertical. Sorry you can't see what's happening here. I've just got to hold it upright so I can see what's happening. So and get this in. That's better. It was too bright anyway. I know it's bright in the photograph, but that doesn't mean it's looked good on a painting. I think that's better. I think that's better. That's right. In the end, what matters is what I decide goes on here, not what is in the photograph. It's my world. I think that's pretty. Oh no. Let's make me disappear. There we go. There you go. What do you think, John? Can you see anything that looks obviously not right? I'm quite happy with it. Not 100% sure about the window, whether it's a little bit too too bold, I don't know. I think it works. I am going to put a signature on that, and I am going to call that done. And tomorrow I'm going to start something totally new, so that'll be good. Don't ask me what yet, I'm not quite sure. I'm very tempted to do something bigger, change the cameras around and work on the wall, and work on something a little bit bigger and bolder. There we go. That's a little frame on it, doesn't it? Yeah, I tried surrealism when I was young. It was when I was a teenager. I think one of the first art forms I got into was surrealism. I think it is fascinating. The older I get, the more I wonder how much the surrealists were just messing about, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, the surreal is something that I think you have. I think it can either be very naive or extremely clever. And I think if you're going to get into surrealism, you want to head towards the latter. I mean, yeah, Salvador Dali. What do you say about Salvador Dali? Do you know the other surrealists struggled with Dali because Dali was so much one. He was so much out on a limb on his own. I mean, on the edge of nervous breakdown a lot of the time, and obviously I think one of the most talented painters of the 20th century by a long shot. I mean, without any doubt, the skill with which he applied his paint and the skill that he chose his subjects and what he did to his subjects was phenomenal. And probably the ultimate in surrealism compared to the others. You know, it's a difficult one. But, I mean, you mentioned Monty Python earlier on. I mean, Monty Python is 99% surrealism. It is. It's taking things and making them, pushing them to the edge. But I think one of the big problems with anybody trying to do surrealism at the moment is that the world itself is so insane and is going so insane that it's almost impossible to be more surreal. I don't know whether you've noticed, but there have been people who took the mickey and everything to some degree with Trump, and there were people that, some very good comedians in America who did good Trump stuff and all that sort of thing. But in the end, you could not be more insane than the whole Trump experience was. The whole Trump administration, the whole fact that this man, this absolute horrible nutcase of a man, became president of the United States. And then when they voted him out, led a load of nutters with guns on their own Capitol building just because he was saying, I didn't lose you. And of course he knows he'd lost. Oh, honestly, it's insane. The world is nuts. And the older you get, the more insane you realise it is. There we are, that's my 2 pence on that one. We've got a bear with me. Let me see if I've got something around here. What's the time? Oh, that's good. I'm trying to get into a bottom drawer down here. I've got 1 or 2. Somewhere under here. No, there's all thought it might have had a little 7x5 frame hanging around. I could just pop over it, but I can't see one. 6x4, 8x10, not 7x5. Never mind. Absolutely. You couldn't, you know, the world's nuts. I mean, it is, it really is. And I think a lot of the problem has stemmed from the internet giving absolutely everyone a voice. Because it's all the matter, oops, excuse me. We have a situation now where everybody has a voice, and it's almost as if a lot of the time what you're hearing is, my opinion matters as much as your opinion, because you know, I count just as much as you do. And in some situations, yes. But in some other situations, we need experts. We need people who are actually extremely clever. Because we need them because they've dedicated their lives to certain subjects and they understand them. You know, my dear, your opinion on what goes on in the human brain might be interesting as far as you're concerned, but if I've got a brain tumour, I am not letting you bloody operate on me. What it comes down to in the end, isn't it? I saw a thing on social media the other day, and it made me smile. And it was two pictures, one above the other. I don't know whether you've seen it. There was two pictures, one above the other. One picture was this woman in a lab coat, sitting in a laboratory, and she's surrounded by all this lab equipment and all these sort of vials of stuff and petri dishes and all the rest of it. And the other picture was a woman sitting on the toilet on her mobile phone. And the caption basically was, vaccine research, anti-vaccine research. And I suppose that, as far as I'm concerned, that really put it in a nutshell. One of the, I think it might, you know, I hope it is. I saw it online the other day, and I thought that's a nice, clever image. Yeah. I think one of the worst phrases that's doing the rounds at the moment, and I've heard it over again for the last 6 years, is, I've done my research. I'm doing my research. I've done my research. and it's usually being spouted by somebody who has basically been trolling the internet for and listening to any kind of nutcase that will spout anything on the internet. And you say, okay, quote your research from me, cite your research, give me proof of the person that you are talking about, that you have heard this from, is actually a qualified expert on this subject. No? Has their research been peer reviewed? Do you know what you are bloody talking about? No, you don't. Sorry, Roger, I'm going off on one. Never mind. Oh. You did tell me earlier when we first. Exactly. You did tell me what you do when we first spoke, but I can't remember now. Are you at university or something like that? I can't remember. I don't know. You tell me. I don't. I can't remember. I remember we had a conversation at first, and you told me what you're doing or what you did, but I can't remember. Whatever you want about. did eventually. I'm afraid it was obvious that it was going to be a no because of the amount of time they took by getting back to me. I was rather pigged off in the end because they told me, they interviewed me on the Thursday. They told me they would inform everybody by the following Tuesday. So I got the whole weekend to wait through, and now I didn't hear anything, and then I didn't hear anything, and eventually, it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock or whatever it was, about 5:30 on Friday night, this young woman who had been one of the people that interviewed me rang me up as she was walking back to her car. I think she was on her mobile phone, and she rang me up to tell me that I hadn't got it. But I thought, honestly, you just whatever. But by that time I knew I hadn't got it. But such is life. This is the way it goes, isn't it? I've been trying for jobs and interviewing for jobs I've been trying for jobs and interviewing for jobs for years, and I've managed to get the occasional part-time job for a few months teaching music technology, but getting a full-time university post has proved almost impossible. So I think I'm giving up, to be honest, and I'm just going to concentrate on the painting. Concentrate on the painting and see if I stick at it and make a few quid here and there. That's the most important thing. Well, it's my age. It's against me. Basically now I'm coming up to an age where an awful lot of people who've been lecturers all their lives are retiring, and I've been trying to get in, so bit of a dead end really. Never mind. Not the end of the world. Anyway, I am going to get off and post this on the internet, show everybody what I've been doing, show everybody what I've done. I'm going to call it a day. Here's the old painting. This is where it's at. This is what it looks like finished. I shall post it onto social media, let everybody have a look at it, and tomorrow we'll start something totally different. And I shall be around a lot more over the next few weeks than I have been over the last few days. So that's good. I'm going to do a lot more painting. I think I should do a lot more like this. I rather like these are my favourite paintings. These are the ones that I like. So Raj, I love you and leave you, and I will speak to you again very soon, I'm sure. Have a good, what will it be there? I'll be coming out for evening there soon, won't it? So have a good evening. And get back to your coding. I've been getting in the way of your coding, haven't I? With my painting. Indeed. Speak to you soon. Anybody else that's out there that's been watching, thank you very much for watching. And I hope you enjoyed watching me bring this little one into being. It is going to be for sale. It will be for sale on social media. So if anybody's interested, and please get in touch. And until then, I did it. I've added more tags. I've added my maximum number of tags. Did that. Should say it. It should say it should have 5 tags on there as well as England, English and art. If it's not, then I've done something wrong. Do you have to tag it every time you start a stream? Is that what it is? Because I set up these tags the other day thinking that once... Oh, that's no good, is it? I went on especially and set up these tags the other day in the hope that every time I go on now, it'll show these tags. But obviously it hasn't. You do... Every time you go on, you've got to set up the tags. Right, so I know now. Now, I shall have to do that. It's a tricky one, this one, because I'm streaming to 4 platforms at once. I use a program called Restream, and I set up them all in one go sort of thing. But I'll obviously have to go into the Twitch stream and check the tags separately, which is a bit of a pain, but never mind. I'll get it sorted. Trying to do too many things at once. Anyway, I'll get off and I will sort that out for next time. I thought I'd done it. A bit disappointed that I haven't, but never mind. I'll get the hang of it you live and learn, don't you? All right, Ross. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody else who's been watching. Anybody that is watching this in the future, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please go and check out my website, stevebirdartist.co.uk. Find me on Facebook as Steve Bird Artist. Find me on Twitter as Steve Bird Artist. Find me on Instagram as Steve Bird Artist. Find me on YouTube as Steve Bird Artist. I am everywhere. Check me out, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.